Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Live podcast. Tonight, we're going to have a very special guest.
Yes.
I am super excited. But before we get to that, let me just get to my main man, Primo. How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy? How's it going today?
I'm doing well. I'm super excited. We have an amazing guest, Jayson De Castro from Design Atelier YouTube channel will be joining us this evening. But before we do that, if you guys want to, you can go over and check out the Executive Automotive Society channel if you are into cars and luxury and all that fun, great stuff. It's a power pack channel. I love it.
I'm going to be covering a cool car Tuesday, one of two, I think, or something like that in the U.S. So hopefully that'll look good.
Cool. Well, I don't want to keep our guest waiting too much longer. We're going to bring him in and welcome him to the show. Jayson De Castro from the Design Atelier YouTube channel. How's it going, man?
We're good. We're ready to rumble.
Thank you for joining Let's Talk Live. I mean, we've been throwing around this idea for probably 6 months or so. And
yeah, it's been a while.
I kept saying, I'm like, hey, you got to get you over here. And the last time I was up doing a show, you were in the chat and I said, hey, we're going to get you on the next show. And we made this come together. So I'm excited.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So what I wanted to do is just kind of get into your channel. What got you started with doing a YouTube channel?
Yeah, like when most of us or many of us in the YouTube game nowadays, there's a sudden boom of YouTubers since the COVID pandemic. Well, because we're all at home. So I had a lot of time. I had a lot of time already before COVID to think about what my YouTube channel is going to be. I initially wanted to make like a model kit channel for like Japanese robots, right?
Nice.
But then I never got to do that. But during COVID, I sat down. You know what? I need to do something because we're just home. So I thought, okay, I have my watches. I'm kind of like into watches in the past couple of years already. So why not make a watch channel? But then when I look at all of the watch channels, I said, okay, I can't be Houdinki because I have no access to those kind of watches. Yeah. I can't be Watchbox. It's even more ridiculous with Tim Mossel speaking. Like, I'm not going to be on that level. So, so I thought, you know what? I have a phone. I have an iPad. Let me look up an app wherein I could draw on the images or on the videos that I make, because that's what I'm good at. I'm relatively fast when I do that. So I kind of like experimented in the first few times. I bought like a cheap watch to talk about, so I could talk about it. I changed the strap, so that's another content, and where I could place the lighting, where I could place my phone, because that's where that's my main camera. I even like used Lego as a stand because we didn't have like I didn't have phone stands lying around, so I built a Lego stand for my phone, and that's what I used for I think the first 50 videos. And still, I find like, okay, I didn't have a signature, but then I always love Discovery Channel. And we also, I came from a video game background too. So I like those blueprints, right?
Yeah.
Those blueprints as a background. So I used that, and that became kind of like the signature for the channel. I actually like tried to maintain the first, the blue and the white and the yellow. The yellow came in later because that's easier to see when it's not a blueprint.
Right.
So those are the things that I think about. Like, designers are kind of like, that's a curse that we have to contend with. We're very particular with colors and the way we do stuff, like right there. And even the fading of the other images of the background, it has to be blue. It has to have some sort of concise story behind it. Like,
right.
I tell the story, there's a flow, even though I don't have to say it. But you know that that's where it's going. And then the more that I use that same pattern and format, the more I got used to this. And then the more I got faster into it. And
nice.
That's where all the channel started. It was initially really hard to set up. But then the more that I dove into the hobby, I call it a hobby still. The more I invested on it. You could see my dolly,
Yeah.
dolly tripod there. Then I bought some light. The soft light, the softbox light is really tremendous. That's the biggest investment that I'm really happy about, because
That's cool.
that light, this light alone, like, it made everything so much better. It
Yeah.
looks, and that's considering I'm using an iPhone 8 at the time. And these small equipments, and just a matter of placing the light, that really created a difference, and it boosted the quality of the videos from a handheld cam to, like, at least decently professional looking setup.
I think it's funny that you're seeing this photo here, and I think people don't realize what us YouTubers, kind of what our stations look like as we kind of do this. You know, I have two lights above me. I have two monitors in front of me. I'm constantly directing and trying to run a show, and you know, and you know, it's funny. Prima and I always talk backstage about, well, I want to start kind of trying to solo our cameras up, but it's so hard to be a host, a producer, someone that's watching comments and reacting, and it's crazy. And I know you don't do any of the live element, but I'm sure when you're conceptualizing a video and going through the steps, it's probably along the same process too.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. When you get a video together, kind of take us through your process of where you get your kind of initial inspiration up into your filming process and then the final product.
Yeah, maybe we could, like, use my watch as an example right now.
Sure.
This is a G-Shock. It's a GM2100, right? Like, the module inside is a GM2100. It has a distinct finish to it. It's slightly better finish than the regular G-Shock Casios, right? But then this company sent me this case, special case. It's SKX mods, so it's, we're going to have, like, that video probably next week or the week after, right? So they sent me this case, and initially, of course, I want to try it out, because that's as much as possible. If I could try it out like at least a week, then I could have a grasp of what makes it tick, right? Like, you see how the angles of the lugs are different compared to, like, what you buy from China. You have, like, the crown also, so it kind of, like, completes the look, because without the crown, the ones that you see in China, kind of, like, initially I was averse to that. So that's okay. So now I need to remember, okay, I used to hate this part. So now that becomes the narrative, like, on the fly, like right now. I didn't think about that, and I just thought about that talking to you. Okay, so that's now a narrative. And that's where you start with your video. Initially, I used to start, like, making the video and then make the thumbnail. But then that's changing now. You have to think about your thumbnail first and then make the video.
Wow.
Because the thumbnail is the one that hooks people in. So if you say, hey, do not buy the new GM2100s, why? So now that's what you're going to talk about the whole video. Instead of, like, looking for a thumbnail after you've made the video. I've done that mistake before, but then because now there's a shift in YouTube's viewership. Back in the day, like, 10-15 minutes is okay. Then it went down to 8, then it went down to 5. Now it's more like TikTok, right?
Yeah.
You have to hook them right away and just talk about that stuff. And you've seen some of my videos. It used to be, like, really long.
Yeah.
But now I really, like, compact them all to 8 minutes. And that's what we're going to talk about with this watch. Hey, I thought this was odd, but this will change your mind. There you go. So that's, like, a good hook that you could maybe I could, like, reword it better. But then that's now my narrative. As a storyteller, as a content creator, you need to create a sort of a story. So what my approach here is, like, I'm going to show them, hey guys, this is, like, the same or kind of looks like the same AliExpress cases that you would buy, but
Sure.
there's little differences. But then this is what's going to change the game. And initially I didn't like that. But there you go. So that's the whole content. It just like I just throw in like a few special effects here and there, and then hopefully people will like that.
How long does it usually take you to put a whole 8-minute video together?
I mean, initially it was a lot faster. Like I used to do it, which is quite ironic because I used to do it faster back in the day, but I do a lot more work. Now that I reduce the amount of work, I'm actually taking longer because I'm taking many different shots now compared to before. Before I just sit down and then try and figure out what I wanted to do, and then I rely on my graphics. But now I really plan on these transitions. I am doing less, but the transitions take a lot more planning. So I guess the planning stage got a lot longer. So I'm now taking like 3 to 4 days for these videos to be finished.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Initially I could like come up to like 2 videos per week, but now with the latest venture that I'm going to talk about later, that's also taking up much of my time. So now I'm back to 1 video per week. And if there's like a big surprise news, I'll just like sit down and shoot my intro. This is my intro, like my face, and my outro is my face, and that's it. And then I talk about like on the table, maybe sometimes just graphics, and I'm done. Right? That's fine. But then when I really need to shoot a video about a watch, that's taking me a little bit longer.
Yeah. Laura's asking a question. She says,
"No, she isn't.
How long does it take to watch an 8-minute video?"
Well, look, if you watch my videos, all 8 minutes of it, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that would be good for his ratings. So please watch all 8 minutes.
Right.
Yep. The thing is like that's a good thing about YouTube. They tell you when your audience jumps off. You know?
Right.
And I think I talked about that briefly with you. Back in the day, I used to make like 10, 12-minute videos, but then I reduced it to 8 because I saw that people jump off like around the 3-4 minute mark. So, okay, why not just shorten it to that? Then I saw like sometimes they'll jump off at 3, so I tried to shorten it even more, especially for the ones that my AD used to have, you know, and those I just like cut it like really short, like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah. If you haven't done it yet, I'll give you a tip. Start making YouTube shorts. You will grow your channel crazy.
I actually tried that out initially. If you could see, I already have like some YouTube shorts. It's really just me drawing. The problem with that is I started way too early, and I found out now that YouTube didn't have it connected to your channel initially.
Now they do.
Now they do. So now I really was planning to do that. I was trying a few of the shots. So I was thinking like, because I have these crazy transitions that people like, I'm trying to see if I could like skew that and make it like that's the hard part.
It's vertical.
Most of my effects are like horizontal, so it's
horizontal.
kind of hard, you know, and I can't like shove the video. So I'm trying to see if I could like make all of my transitions in the middle at least, so that I can compile them into one shot. But compiling them into a short is still work in itself, so I have to like really make it as efficient as possible. Think it through.
I'll be honest with you, and it's great that I have another YouTuber here because I like to hear just other thoughts, you know, other than Primo and I kind of talking about this stuff. I'm a little disappointed with the whole YouTube Shorts, to be honest with you. As we know that kind of TikTok is the trending thing, and as a long form content creator, and I'm going to be a little selfish now, you know, and I know, the longer that someone watches our videos, we make more. You know, we get more, we make more. It's more benefit for a YouTube side. I mean, maybe I'm being a little selfish here. I hope that at some point, if this is, you know, we've seen, you know, for me, YouTube Shorts is killing long form content. So, you know, I kind of felt like long form content was the way it was going to go. Now they're competing with TikTok. They didn't have it in the algorithm. Now we kind of have it in the algorithm. I'm hoping at some point YouTube's going to make a decision like, look, we're going to branch off and do a shorts type of channel or app and give us the long form content back to the creators. How do you feel about this? And how do you feel about, now YouTube Shorts kind of conceptualizing coming into YouTube and taking up some space?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, YouTube still offers both of them. So long as they do that, I'm fine. But if they like completely like dump all of the long form and they're just doing shorts now, then I'm off. I'm going to go to a different
platform
because I come from I can't speak for everyone, of course, but I come from a background of video production and movies. That's my thing. And there's always been a running issue with theaters trying to gauge how much they could earn with any movie. Now, what I'm talking about here is like if someone releases like a Marvel movie, like say for example Thor, that's like barely 2 hours, right? That means that movie can be in theaters like 3 or 4 times a day,
right?
Because it's just 2 hours, right? But if you compare that to an Avatar who's like almost 3 hours, then you only have like two times, 2 or 3 times a day showing. Now, what that creates with the movie theaters is, remember, we have to remember that movie theaters don't actually earn money from the movies; they earn money from the popcorns and
the concessions.
The concessions, right? So the more movies that there are, the more people are coming in to buy food. Right? It's really just a fast food with a movie in it. Crazy. But that's the same thing with us content creators. The more views that we have, the more that we can produce these long form contents. Right. But the problem is with YouTube Shorts and with TikTok eating up in that trend, then we kind of lose out. And not to mention that YouTube is now old, and so many content creators have like come and go, and there's a boom now because of the pandemic. Then we're all competing against a market that's really being diluted by these short form content. But I don't think that long form is going to go away, because the same as cinema, the technology changes, the formats changes, the taste of the audience changes, but the viewing experience, that's what we couldn't kill from the cinemas. I mean, we're not trying to kill the cinemas here, but that's the experience. And YouTube has its own unique experience, especially with long form, and that's why people subscribe to these long form providers, because they're being entertained. There's still a niche of people that wants substance, because let's be honest, all of those TikTok 1-minute videos are not substance. There's not much substance to it. It's just really a quick fun, and that's it, and then you move on to another one, and that's not sustainable in the long run when you wanted something a little bit more substantial or intellectual, or like gratifyingly satisfactory, satisfying as a movie experience.
Sure. So before we go ahead, I'd like to go back a little bit, and before we get into your newest venture, I'd like to go back a little bit and just talk about your background in design. You were telling me backstage kind of what you did in school to kind of make some money. I guess it was a little hustle. Tell us a little bit about what kind of got you started in being creative and drawing. And
because I mean, I'm a Filipino. I was born in the Philippines. I grew up in a, not really impoverished family, but we're not middle class. We're not even nowhere near middle class. So we're below that. So I would go to school with no lunch money. I would just go there and just like how we pride ourselves to like graduate with honors, and we study hard so that we can get a better life in the future. That's our aspirations back in the time. But that's with the lack of money. So I have to like do whatever I could to generate income. I mean, we live in a household that nobody's providing income. We're just living really on a pension of my grandmother.
Yeah.
So we were trying our best to get by. But I drew stuff for my classmates, even in grade school. I would like do like little illustrations. They would buy it for like a couple of pesos, so I could buy like some soft drinks, those kind of stuff. And when I went to high school, we have like these binders, they're boards that sandwich together the notebooks so that you could carry them instead of your backpacks.
Sure.
It was a big thing back in the day.
Trapper Keeper. It was a Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you would like use shoelaces,
Yes.
on the ends just to like
Trapper Keeper.
make it fall. Yeah, there you go. So that's how they call it. Yeah. We have those in the Philippines, and it was very common to see posters of like people like on their Trapper Keepers. But I would draw those. Instead of like making posters, I would draw those for a buck, and I would even make the Trapper Keeper for you.
Nice.
Wow.
I have my supply, I would buy them in bulk, so like buy them like in boxes, so the cost is low, and then I buy some shoelaces. I work on them like overnight, and then I deliver and they pay. That's how I earn my money.
Wow.
I used to like GI Joes, the small action figures. I was addicted to that when I was like a kid, which is quite ironic. I would rather buy that than lunch money, lunch at all. So I was like that. So when I migrated here to Aruba, there was like a big boom in the comic book before the comic book crash, before the speculative bubble crashed the comic book industry. There was a boom for web comics. DC and Marvel was.
Oh wow, yeah.
DC and Marvel were having these online auditions, so I submitted like a few of my work. They gave me criticism. CB Sobolski gave me a really nice, detailed. He's remarkably detailed with his criticism, constructive criticism. The thing is, like he said, you have like a good form, you have good dynamism.
Nice.
The problem is your style is not the Marvel house style.
Okay.
I used to draw like anime, but the thing is, like anime wasn't like a big explosion back in the day. I actually have one of those, like you see.
Yeah, I'm gonna solo you up, and if you can, this is great. Wow.
There you go. So I had some of my work published in a small Chicago independent comic book company. So they published some of my works. So it's really like anime style back in the day. I think it's like
that's incredible.
2002, I think. And the thing is, my style is like really off the beaten path, so to speak. I mean, it's not Marvel, it's not anime either. It's
very graphic illustrated, like if you got a graphic novel kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's it kind of is like that, because I like those kind of graphic novels like Watchmen, The Dark Knight. Those are the things that I loved back in the day. But comic books is not for me. It takes a lot of work, but I learned a lot with how to tell a story and how to show with little text or little scripting on how to generate tension, how to generate.
I'm sorry to cut you off. That's gotta be like laying a comic book out has to be a lot of storyboarding. I mean, it does. It's gotta be a lot of work.
It does. I tried to wing it like a few times, but it's not gonna work because you're always like stuck into a corner that you have to finish like a few meters in front. I mean, you have to like really lay down what needs to happen. Otherwise, it's just like fighting all the time and with no meaningful outcome for the battle. And that's not. Dragon Ball, right? I don't know. Many people criticize Dragon Ball for that very same thing, because like Dragon Ball would have this always in their movies, long-winded intro and just laying down the groundwork with the morality of this, what's happening here, and then at the next half is just all fighting and shouting, and none of
Right.
those things that you set up in the beginning have actually matter.
You're like, always, where's the payoff, right?
Yeah, it has no correlation to what they set up, but that's their thinly veiled way of showing, hey, we actually have substance, we actually have a story going on here, but then just goes out of the window once you have like all the fighting happen. So I mean, like that, those kind of stuff kind of helps me out with the content on YouTube too, because you really have to. Sometimes I don't do storyboards anymore, but sometimes I do. You know, especially with the transitions. Okay, when am I going to like release this watch on my left hand and move it to my right hand? Those kind of small little details, I have to like write them down sometimes. And can you imagine if I'm wearing a sleeve and in one shot the sleeve is like here and then the next shot is here? That's super annoying to me. I have to like redo that thing. And those things take some planning, and I kind of like it because it's like a challenge all the time. I can't do the same effects every time over and over again. It will become dull to the people. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that, hey, maybe I could do another effect that could wow everybody else. But you know, you have to be like reasonable because all of this takes time. That's
do you script a lot of the stuff out, or you just kind of wing it?
The intros and the outros I don't.
Yeah.
But everything when I start to talk, when you see my hands, that's all scripted.
Yes, I thought. Yeah.
That's a lot of
You kind of have to, especially like when I was talking to Brian about it. Was I said there's so much stuff going on, especially like we were saying with the live show, that I've gotten down to the point of like whichever button I'm going to press is part of that script, because if you don't, you get derailed and you go, okay, what am I doing? And now you've lost what you were talking about. And like you said, that impact settles, and then nobody's looking for a payoff anymore. They've already turned off.
Yeah, and you see that's the beauty of long form formats. We get all of these minutiae and ranges of emotions and experiences that you cannot replicate with 1 minute.
Yeah. And that's why, like I always say, like running a show is very difficult too, because as I'm listening to my guest, I'm already trying to think of the next question that I'm going to ask to follow up and give a transition to the audience and build the story a little bit more. So, you know, it's tough. I mean, it's fun. I love it. I enjoy it. I think, you know, the greatest thing that I love about doing this and opening a platform up is I get to meet so many different people from around the world. And that's what's been fantastic about this. And, you know, we have our fun shows too, where we talk kind of offbeat subjects, and I do kind of the timepiece gentleman thing, and my audience really loves that. And, you know, but like I said, you know, we just wanted to do this for fun and really just get to know people behind, you know, the screen, like what we're seeing, you know, who is the person that's actually behind the essential concept of the business or their YouTube channel or what be. And, you know, we really love doing stuff like this. So again, I do want to thank you, Jayson, for joining us. Even if anybody is just coming onto the stream, we're talking with Jayson De Castro. He's from the Design Atelier YouTube channel. And we're just talking about his channel a little bit. And before we go forward here, he's going to actually talk about a new venture that he's kind of gotten into. So I'm going to pull up the screen again. We have some fantastic art pieces that we're going to be showing that Jay actually draws all this from scratch. So I want to kind of get that point across. This is all from scratch. It's all digitally drawn, and it's really amazing stuff. So let me pull the screen up here, and we'll go through. So the next venture that you'll be going into is Watchhead. So tell us about that.
Yeah, actually, you could go back to the previous screen with Buzz Lightyear there. This is where it all kind of started, because in my channel, I wanted to mix it up, right? Like what I mentioned before. So instead of just talking about watches that exist, what if I could talk about watches that did not exist yet? And somebody else has been doing this, ID guy. I don't know if any of you are.
Yeah, I do. Yep, I know who he is.
Yeah, and he's been doing like a lot of conceptual watches before, so I'm not completely original on this, but I thought like it was fun to do, because sometimes there are watches that are a collaboration between two different entities. Like in this case, like the Pixar and G-Shock. What if that happened? And this is what I think would happen. So I frequently like for a number of videos I try to do that. I made one with Boba Fett from Star Wars, and I still have some more that's lined up. And then I realized, okay, this is my niche. This is where I'm different from the other YouTubers. They can't do this, and this is something that I could do really quick. But then my son and I was like talking one day, and we caught wind of these NFTs. And what is this NFT? And then my son told me, yeah, this is like digital art that's like serial in the blockchain. It's unique, and people are crazy about it because it's Ethereum, and with the sudden boom of Ethereum, whatever, like those kind of stuff.
Non-fungible token. There you go. Is that how you say it?
Really, you're paying for the certificate of
Right.
authenticity and whatnot. Okay, fine. So we tried to do that, and this is what we came up with, me and my son, right? And okay, it's kind of like an anthropomorphized soda, so that to give him personality, I
feel a high C like Street Fighter vibe here.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
I have to stop for a second. I just have to. Why are you not drawing for Disney?
Well,
I mean, you have the talent. It's amazing. I mean, I look at this and I look at like I see that style. It's just, it blows me away. I look, I'm like, people actually like, you drew this. It's amazing.
The thing is, like, again, like I came from a comic book background.
Yeah.
And Disney's like nobody in the world doesn't know Disney. So everybody knows Disney, and that's one of the things that I studied when I was growing up. What makes this expressive? Like a simple hand gesture can actually be expressive more than the face. So that's really fascinating to me, and I really studied that. I couldn't afford the curriculum, nor moved to California for like the actual university stuff that teaches that. But I could at least like understand what makes this tick. And then like the movie magics from Discovery Channel, that was like a big influence to me, how they created these things. And there was like one show that said, oh, this is what makes it more expressive, just a little nudge on the angle here, and it's super not realistic, but it actually solves the action. And that's where that's like the driving force behind my designs. It's always that dynamism that I try to imbue. And here in this instance, because like, okay, we were thinking like nobody's done this before, so at least now you can just change the face, change the sunglasses, change the hat, and then there you go. You sell it for $50 and you're set, right? So me and my son, we were trying to like conceptualize that. Then Paul Thorpe, I guess you also know who Paul Thorpe is, right? Contacted me because I was going into these streams. I went to your stream at one point. I went to Tim Wright and then to JJ's stream. I was trying to like make memes on the fly.
It's great.
And Paul Thorpe said, you know what, Jay, let me contact you. Let's talk. Okay. So when we talk privately, Jay, you shouldn't be like, giving away your art to people. We can make money out of this. Right. Because he said like I already had an idea about NFTs, he said, right? So okay, I made NFTs for him, but only for his gallery. We couldn't set up like a proper NFT yet. And I was originally just making like watches, like conceptual watches. But then I thought, you know what, this is taking me so much time. Let me do something like really quick. And I just handpicked whatever was like popular back in the day. It was Salt Day, who I don't even like know his actual name.
Yeah.
And they said like he has this Nautilus. Okay. So Aquanaut. He has this Aquanaut. So okay, let me draw that. And I drew that.
Yeah.
And initially we were skeptical if somebody's like even going to buy this. It's actually pop art. And then people did. Whatever I made for him got sold out in a couple of hours. Okay, so let's do more. So I did like the slap, the Will Smith slap and that. I did that, and and people like started in time. They started commissioning me to make these work. So okay, I started the commission, and then one day somebody said, Jay, we should trademark this. You should trademark this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I tried trademarking it here in Aruba, but I'm in a small island, right? So this investor of mine said, you know what? I'll do it for you. Let's do this. Let's make more. But this cannot stay just art. We have to do more about this. So he trademarked the whole thing. He's now my business partner. He invested like a number of, maybe I don't know the exact figures now, but initially just to like get this set up, it's like 17,000.
Wow.
To just set up the what's it called, the registration.
Sure. Yeah, the trademark registration.
Because because he wanted it to be safe everywhere, not just in the United States, like globally. This idea, this moral rights of the concept, and he was able to do that. And then we started. Okay, I actually drew like I think over 300 art already, but I couldn't show them yet because we really want to put it in our launch. So we started, and he has connections also with watch people. He knows Nico, he knows Roman, he knows Michael, he knows TP. Actually, he knows
Anthony.
TP Anthony, yeah, and also and Ocean also. He knows. Yeah. He's like the guy behind the scenes. And he said, you know what? Let's make one for Roman. And I'm dealing with Roman. We have this thing going on, so let's see. Let's give him something, and then let's move on from there. And finally, Roman got his watch heads. So because we want to make it like something that's easy to pronounce and readily recognizable, you know. Yeah. And when Roman was unboxing this, this is the watch heads from that guy. I forgot his name. Oh, but this is from Stefano. So he actually already knows by seeing some in my Instagram.
Sure.
Nice.
But then, and this is the one that he got. This is the one of one. So nobody has this art, only him. I already sent him the digital copy. So he's the only one. Once we launch our NFT platform, he's the only one who has that copy. And that's the good thing about it, because I know that's the big deal, that is a deal breaker to most people about NFTs, because you're paying for digital numbers. That's what they think, right? But we are inherently, because I've experienced this too. I came from a video game background. I used to work for Valve, and there's a certain satisfaction when you create a 3D model, but there's no substitute when you could actually hold that.
Right.
And that's what we're going to offer. We're going to offer these high-end NFTs that includes a digital copy, and even includes how many strokes it took for me to paint that. There's a lot of Easter eggs actually in this image itself that Roman didn't even realize there, because this is not just a regular royal oak. This is the very same royal oak that he had, the first royal oak that started his business.
Wow,
nice.
That's awesome. That's a nice little tribute.
Yeah, and that all of these things, all of these like little information will be on the certificate.
Oh, cool.
When you buy one of these NFTs, you know. And
real quick, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, I'm just going to acknowledge this $5 super chat from Quicker Than Drawing. It says, congrats, Jayson, on the new venture, and best to you all. And just want to go back a little bit. SLC Watch Collector said, hey, amazing stream. Thank you for watching this evening. Basil Bezel, who's a channel member and a loyal supporter of the Let's Talk Live channel. I'm sure he's subscribed to your channel as well. Such a great guy. He's such a great guy. Like every now and then, he's such a great guy. He said, nice work. And of course, we have Laura, our fellow super supporter that's always over here in the chat, cracking jokes and having some fun with us. So I just wanted to acknowledge all those fans over in the channel too. I want to go to the next slide, because this is actually my favorite drawing that you did. and I'm a huge fan of this movie, and I love the series, and I thought this one was really cool. So we have the Rocky Rocky drawing, which I really love this.
Yeah, this is actually a commission from someone I cannot name names.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's really nice. I think that this is, to me, the most detailed I've ever drawn a watch head before. It took me like 45,000 strokes to get this done, and I was really it was originally a different pose, but then we settled with this iconic pose, so that when you put, because the thing is, like, you're going to hang this in your gallery, it has to be something that's going to catch your eye, something that also means a significance to the person who's like framing this in the gallery. And we landed with this concept that's actually like shortly lived in the movie.
It is. I was just gonna say, he wore these trunks when he was training. He was kind of, if people don't really know the movie, the series, he kind of was lazy, and he was being very lazy about his training, and he was the yellow concept was his shtick. Yeah, that's cool that you said that. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
there you go, Adrian.
But what really fascinated me there is like how Rolex actually, because this is, most people would say this is not a watch for me. This is not a watch that's like, sorry, my
that's
dog.
Okay. We love animals.
That is like coming.
Right.
And this is not something that's like has a mainstream appeal, so to speak, right? It's not for everyone. But all of those gems are set like pretty remarkably, and I couldn't find that out if I didn't research the model and drew this, because all of those gems are not just like the same gems that you said. It has to be some of them have share the same prong, which is kind of neat, and at the same time it's inlaid on the borders. And these kind of details is really, really hard to do even if you're doing it by hand. But actually, there's the only one way to do it. It's like really by hand. And we know that most Rolex pieces are not like handmade, but for this dial it is. And there's an incredible amount of detail, like around the rehaut, around the sub dials. There's a difference in color. All of these things, like what you call is fused together into this one singular model, and it helps me appreciate the watch even more, and even the brand. After really diving deeper into their design.
Well, I'd like to say it's a knockout.
I really love that.
We have this piece, the Daytona, which is fantastic. Could you talk a little bit about this one, how this came together?
Yeah, this actually came from a micro brand in Indonesia. It's MW, the micro brand, but actually they're funded by Adrian, who's the CEO of Horology Story. He's kind of like, he's trying to position himself as like the Hodinkee of Indonesia, and right now he's like the big go-to guy, watch go-to guy in Indonesia, especially in the micro brand scene, and he has like a solid hold on that. He sent me a watch to review, and we talked a little bit more, and he found interest in this. Okay, you know what? Why not make something for us, and then we'll take it from there. We'll sell some merchandise, and I said okay.
So this isn't a James Bond setup here.
No, this is actually like an Indonesian circuit. But you could actually see from the coat, it's kind of like batik. They call it batik pattern. It's a distinctly Indonesian flavor. And
I just noticed the car in the forefront here.
Oh yeah, that's a Mercedes SLR, right?
Great.
So that's the Gullwing. I couldn't find. Here's a story. I couldn't find anything that's like in the same like ground view. That's the first thing that I that I saw, and I use that as a caricature. The proportions are slightly different, but I have to like do that. Otherwise, Mercedes is gonna sue me.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed you took I've noticed you took the emblem out of the
Yeah,
the grill.
but you know what it is. So like
Yeah,
gearheads know what it is. So
yeah.
that's the whole idea around that. And yeah, of course, like the details of the Daytona, um, and that's been like this is like really my first collaboration with with a different company. This is before we got registered as an entity.
Yeah.
We're continuing with them. We're still going to do some collaborations with them, and I'm very happy that we have like an Indonesian presence already. That's really amazing for me. I mean, like I didn't imagine like my art would be like appreciated like in many parts of the world. I used to only dream of that, but now it's actually happening. It's really, I'm really happy about that. And
No, I don't see why it wouldn't spread everywhere. I mean, the quality of the art, the depth of it, the attention to detail that you have in this, or even the little things that I was seeing, especially like the bubbles in the drink, the reflections of the light, the movement of the character as he goes through the circle. All of it has certain motivational things that you're talking about before that you really studied to, and I really think you nailed it. And I don't think many people can get this good when it comes to a single picture. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that's the beauty of it, because I'm really having fun doing these, especially challenging myself. Hey, can I do it better? Like if you look back at what I did for Roman compared to what I did with the Rocky, it's like miles apart with regards to detail. So probably we'll be doing something else for Roman soon. But you know, you could see the escalation of, you could see the progress of the art, and as the more I become comfortable with the way that my workflow is, that actually that's a big thing with my YouTube content and with my art. There's a workflow. I start with a certain framework. I move to like the base colors, then the outlines, and there's always like that sequence. The more that and I even like pre-program my brushes to conform to that, so that I can switch between brushes like really quickly. And those are the workflows that really makes the art like not just detailed, but it gives me enough time to like produce it and sustain that detail.
Have you ever thought about animating any of this, or making some shorts? And I mean,
You know, I did.
When I look at them, I just picture, I want them to move, and I want them to talk, and I want to know, how would I picture this guy just getting up off the the little logo here and walking around, and I want to hear what his voice would be, and it just sounds just a really cool idea. So
yeah, I explored that, but the problem with animation is like right now we're running at YouTube is generally 30 frames per second. If you want it cinematically, it's going to be 24 frames per second.
oh, okay.
Traditionally, cell shading animation typically takes like 15 frames per second. So that's something that looks decent for your eye. Some animation houses nowadays, they push it to like 21 or 18, something like that, just to make it like extra smooth. But all of that is like you have to draw each and every frame.
Oh yeah.
Now, the Japanese, they cheat a bit. They just draw the eyes and then only
Right.
move. That's not an uncommon trick. It's actually done by Disney also. But if you like Disney animation, like the old ones, like Beauty and the Beast, like the Cinderella and whatnot, those are like rotoscope. They call it rotoscope from actual models of people like doing these realistic things or realistic animation. And that's where the 3D actually would save me a lot. But then I don't have the time anymore to like learn what the latest 3D app. I used to use Blender, but that's not sufficient anymore for the area of that the audience would look for.
It's really incredible stuff. I mean, I think you have a very catchy name. That Watchhead's name is fantastic. And again, I mean, just going back and looking at some of these previous designs that we showed, is just the attention to detail is really great. And I don't, like I said, like Prima was saying, I don't know why this wouldn't catch on. I mean, I think it's going to be a very lucrative venture for you, wherever it goes and however far it goes. And I'm really happy for you, because I got to tell you, Jayson, you're one of the good guys in this type of platform. You know, I mean, you're just a very even keeled. I really enjoy your channel, your editing style. The design that you come up with. I mean, personally, I was joking around. I'm like, I'm very jealous. I wish I had this amount of talent inside of me. I think my talent is just talking to people, getting to know them, and being able to feature, you know, art in their ideas like this. And we really enjoy seeing stuff like this. And it's really great stuff.
I think it's so, the cool thing about stuff like this too is not only being able to express yourself, but to express somebody else's creation and take that and say, you know, what do you want to do? I can do it. And with this style, it still allows you to do what you want to do. In other words, your style of creating while fitting something to somebody else's style. And then I love the little Easter eggs and little things that are being added to it. It just more and more flavor to something that already is. It just it's just a lot of respect for you for being able to do that. And I was that's why I was so happy. He's like, you know who's going to be on the show? And I was like, this is going to be amazing. And my daughter's watching, because my daughter does art. She's going to be going into stuff in the future, so I have her watching right now, just taking some pointers. And I think it's just great. So
I mean, it's not really just the talent. I mean, like, I'm happy I'm able to like do these things. Really, it's a combination of my, I guess, 36 years of like drawing since I was like a kid, since I was like little. But it's also about opportunities, and sometimes opportunities just come. And you just have to like make a split-second decision whether to grab it or not. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes the window is like slightly bigger. But we have to accept also, I've accepted that before, because that's also one of my biggest vices, because my talent, talent as you call it, is also my vice. Because I always want to do or outdo myself. I'm like fighting a ghost, you know. I'm racing against my own thing. I mean, like, it's not like an inspirational talk coming from Michael Jordan or whatever, but that's actually true for me. I experienced that, because when I draw something, I actually keep everything. I tell my kids, if you make a mistake, don't crumble the paper, throw it. Don't peel it off. Don't destroy it. Keep it. I keep mine, because it helps me to see where I came from. I used to do this. I used to have like stick figures and whatnot. I used to draw like stick figure animations on the top of my notebook, and then would
do the flip book.
Flip, like, you know. That I used to do that too when I was like in high school, but nothing stick. And that's the bummer, because when nothing sticks, I get depressed, and I get like so sad that I don't draw. There's been like some years there was like back in before the early thousands, I didn't draw for like 4 or 5 years. Nothing. Completely, because I said none of the things that I did actually worked. So I just buried myself in my day job, you know, in the supermarket and whatnot, and that's my life. But then I was never happy, because there's like this itching feeling that I need to create something. I need to do something.
I know that feeling. Oof.
It's tough. But the thing is, like, I don't know where to get that and I don't know where to express that. I used to think like, okay, this model kits, I try to do that, but then it's not giving me anything, like, you know, any kind of satisfaction. And then until finally YouTube came, and then I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna try this. And even that, it took me years to even like try. But that's true with what people say. The biggest thing about YouTube is actually starting it. And I couldn't even like.
I love it. I love Laura's comment. I can't even trace. Never mind draw.
Yeah.
I'm feeling you.
I mean, there's far more talented people out there. You know, if I tried to compete against them, I'm nobody. But that's the thing, and you just have to find.
I know, Brian. Shake your head harder.
You're.
It's
I always tell people if you were born, you have the potential, and you have the potential to do anything in this world. And I always tell like I call them my kids, the younger people that work for me. And I don't think they believe, because I think a lot of people are told that, you know, you're not good and you're not this and you're not that. We're all here for a reason. And we're all here to you know, give back to the experiences that we have in our life, you know, and again, I think it's you know, we all have our own little special talents. And if we can bring that out and maybe inspire some people around you, you know, I say by this stream today, someone watching this, maybe they were in a situation like yourself. They just drew on a piece of paper and they say, hey, you know what, now I can start a YouTube channel, or I could do some art and maybe some NFTs. And I think it's just it's great to do these things, or someone that might want to start a podcast. You know,
here's my input. I think he's the best watch heads artist in the whole group.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, right. No, but like Brian was saying, it really is. You inspire people to do things, and that's, I always ask people too. I said, what does it feel like from going from a time when, like, I grew up, and if you didn't, like, the way I used to make videos was in a VHS player. I'd have two VHSs, I'd record it, and then I'd do right. So I had a feeling we were in the same zone. But yeah, but that's the thing is now you're in an area and you're taking that artwork and you're turning it into something that's distinctly you. How does that feel now to be able to have that voice and be able to, you know, is there a time when you just like, I don't have enough time in the day to do what I'm doing?
Yeah, there certainly are those days, but most importantly, I mean, we go back to that conversation that I had with my son, right? I used to think about myself alone, but then when I had my sons, that's when a shift changed. I'm not a person who likes babies. I have to admit that. But then when I had my own children, that changed. I turned a little bit more sensitive, I guess. But also my focus kind of shifted as well. I realized that to actually be satisfied with the work that I do, I can't do it for myself.
Right.
Earlier I said, like, I was like aiming for that ghost. I want to be like better than I used to be. Maybe it's an OCD thing. I want to be better than yesterday, and that's my driving force. But then it never ends. It's never satiated. You're never satisfied. But then when you have someone who actually just when it evokes a smile in that someone, hey, this is great. That is infinitely more satisfactory than what I was doing for myself, like those years back. When I was talking to my son about this, I realized, hey, I'm doing something that could involve them, that's influencing them. My two boys now are also drawing, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
My eldest is like really into like drawing these anime also, and giving him some pointers here and there. And actually, these NFTs, my two sons will be like helping me out. They're going to like, I'm going to make the elements for them, and they're going to mix and match it based on what's good for their taste, you know?
Yeah.
So it now becomes a generational thing that you could pass on. I think that's what it is. I cannot pass on my actual talent, but I can shepherd someone who could continue with that. And that to me is infinitely better than me gaining the money that all I did back in the time for my GI Joes or for my lunch money or whatever, you know. And that's the same with my YouTube channel. I was talking to Brian earlier because I saw my other peers, their their subscriber is like double mine already, but we started the same, right? But I understand why that is, because they're really putting in their heart on their channel, and what they saw works, and they focused on that. I didn't do that, but because I had commitments. I committed to a person. I'm going to review this watch. I committed to this AD. I'm going to work for them for a while. Yeah, so those commitments I have to honor, but yet it's not bringing in the views. So I could have done what my other peers are doing, but I want to like be, I want to like
original.
Commit, yeah, be not just original, but also like fulfill the promise that I made, not just for my collaborators, but also to the viewers. The viewers expect me to do this, expect me to show my face now, expect me to like do these effects. So even if they're not garnering all of the views, when I see that comment, man, I love your content, or man, you missed that smudge on the second hand. That's a criticism, not to me, but to the watch that I'm like, reviewing. But that also is something that I welcome. It's something also that's good for me. I know it's not when people criticize me, I'm not saying enough negative things about watches. Okay, I'm okay to accept that, but I have a reason why, because you don't have to like talk negative all the time.
Yeah.
These watches, I know that some of them are like varying in Atelier. The houses now are thanks. That's a self-fulfilling username now.
Yeah.
But going back to the subject, I mean, like, I know that these watches, we have the JLCs and then we have the Casios. Like there's a great disparity in workmanship, right?
Right.
But all of these products, they're hard work of people who designed them.
Yes.
Even though like they might not be the best refined design, but they're still the hard work of people that I also went through my time. That could have been me. So at least that respect, I would give them with the watch review. Of course, I'm not going to skip on something that's really going to affect the buyers or the viewers' experience, because the viewers that watch my channel, they buy these stuff.
Yeah.
I want to be genuine with them. I need to be real to them. And I tell the company, hey, you have a problem with the bezel. I mean, can I mention that? I actually do that to
wow.
And they say yes. And there's some, I'm not gonna make the name the watch brand.
Sure.
I actually rejected their offer. I said, no, I'm not gonna review it, because I know that I'm not gonna say anything good for your brand.
Sure.
Like
that's awesome.
It's I'd rather not review the brand than to talk bad about it.
Right.
I know that's not like maybe the journalism that people want from me, but that I can't do that. I can't bring my conscience to trample upon like the work of these people, because it's not to my taste, but it's still their effort and hard work. And I appreciate that. I would rather like just, what? I appreciate that you guys approach me, and it's a great honor, but I cannot talk about your product, because and some of them are like literal copies and fakes of like they want me to like make replicas. No, sorry, I'm not gonna do that. So there's a certain boundary that I set, and if the audience wants that, that's fine. If they don't want it, they're going to comment about it. And if they're also free to unsubscribe if they want to. I'm going to be saddened by that, but that's the reality of it. I'm not gonna.
I think you're doing a channel for yourself and doing something that's specific to what you do, and making yourself an identity. There's a lot of channels out there that can do stuff, and they jump out and they follow a path, something that's put before it, or something that a lot of other people have done, and people jump on board with it, and it succeeds pretty quickly. But when your stuff is your stuff and what you're doing is identified with you, I think it has a lot more longevity. And the other thing is it ascribes to you. In other words, we can't have your channel without you involved in it. But there's hundreds of thousands of channels out there. Like, and I say this in a weird way, but like there's always going to be another PewDiePie. There's always going to be another whatever who's Mr. Beast. There's always going to be somebody else that can jump in that and go, haven't hand you money to do the show or whatever. But to say there's going to be somebody that makes a watch heads, I only know one guy that can do that. So that's the thing is it'll take longer to build that audience, which you've already seen. But once you start building it, I think there comes a point when there's that level of acceptance. And when you've gone over the top of the bell curve, now you're here, and maybe you move on to something, maybe you make watch heads and then you do something else later down the road, but it's all you and people can immediately identify with it. And I think that's an anchor. That's how everybody should do it, but not everybody has that ability. So I understand why they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I always like go by with this old proverb, that many people misquote, because many people misquote and say, "Don't do to others what you don't want others
done to you."
Yeah. Yeah. That's wrong, because the proverb originally is, "Do unto others what you want others to do to you."
Right.
Intrinsically, that's a main principle that gives you a certain humility, because you're in servitude to others.
Mm-hmm.
You need to bring these things that you have to others. You share it, and you just trust that and that's a leap of faith right there, because you're not guaranteed that others are going to return the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, but the mere fact that you're sharing, that gives you the satisfaction. No matter how many views I get, or no matter how little it may be, if I know that thing that I shared made a difference to people, that's good enough. I learned to accept that, and that actually gave me enough fuel to just keep on doing it. And I guess that's where my wife and my family comes in. That's when I realized that, because like my wife is always behind the scenes. She's doing all of the other work that like I should have been doing because of this thing, and it's all of our backs are all of our weight is being held by her back. It's a tremendous effort. I'd like to thank her, like with all
sweet.
of that has been done, and she's the one that like really supported me with any endeavor that I have, any endeavor, so long as I'm not murdering people or like
I don't think that's gonna happen.
So
the art changed for a dramatic step yesterday. We're a little worried about it. We've sent out somebody to do a conditional check, but we think everything will be fine.
I'm just really happy that she's there, and I love her so much, and the kids also, and I mean they've been supportive, and we've been through tough times, like all of us, like in the pandemic. There's so many things that we thought wouldn't happen, and that really like did a number on all of us, and I'm just happy that we're all survived that, and we're stronger for it.
I just think it's weird how like these bad things, these bad things happen to us. And I always told people, I said, it really is not, people say, well, it's not how it is in the good times, it's how it is in the bad times. And I said, it's not really that. It's how you respond to those bad times, because the bad times are the things that create the opportunities that we all went and strive for and seek that next level. And it's so funny because as we all succeed together, suddenly we become our own little niche group of people that kind of succeed together. And I think that is so important to the people that rise to the top instead of people that kind of get pulled under the water, if you will. Like the world's falling apart. The world's always falling apart. We have to rise to it and see the positive and try to make something out of it. And those that make the cool things, those are always the people that are remembered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real quick. I just want to touch on a quick point. And then before we wrap this one up, I want to talk about Jayson's involvement in Team Force 2, because I know that was something that you wanted to talk about. But I want to go back to a quick point that you made when you said, you kind of stick to your convictions of, someone might come to you and say, hey, we want to have you review this product. And if you don't feel passionate enough about it, you're not going to do that because it's something that you would rather not touch on. And I remember this story. I don't know if anybody out there knows who this is, but Jesse James, he's a bike builder, and he was famous for doing Monster Garage and kind of did all these conceptual things with
the
cars
chopper guy.
He drew West
I used
Coast.
to watch his shows. Yeah,
West Coast choppers.
Yep.
And he tells this story one time about when West Coast choppers started to blow up, that all these celebrities were coming at him, and Sylvester Stallone actually reached out to him and he said, I have this movie coming up and I want to do a yellow bike to commemorate this movie. And he goes, I don't do yellow bikes. And he hung the phone up. And a couple of weeks later, he had someone from Sylvester Stallone's camp, and they said,
"Hey, why'd you hang up on me?"
Right, we'll pay you, we're going to pay you $5 million. Some crazy. And he said, I don't do yellow bikes. It's just sticking to his convictions. It's
why does he hate yellow bikes?
He just says they don't look cool.
There's a lot of things in bikes that, like, for us, it used to be green. Like, if you bought a green bike, you were going to crash. And that was the thing. Okay. So he probably has the same thing with his, is he's got a yellow bike thing where it's like something happened in the past and nobody talks about it. We just don't do it.
So Jayson, if you could just touch a little bit on Team Force 2, what your involvement was in that.
Yeah. Back in the day, we had like a little community in DeviantArt, and that's where it all started. And they all like to play Team Fortress, and they said, "Oh, you could actually make items for Team Fortress." Oh, really? So I dove into that, joined the communities to find out how this thing is. So, in short, Valve at some point opened up a market within the game. It's nothing special nowadays, but back in the time it was something big for Team Fortress, and they allowed the audience to make the items for them, and if they pass their qualifications and their quality control and whatnot, they'll help these these audiences to get their items in the game. Nice. We were once one of the few ones who were in the beginning of that phase. Wow. But most of the artists that collaborated in that beginning phase of the market, they tend to go overboard with the details. They tend to do high resolution items that they really look good, but they're not what Valve was looking for. But then I came in and I collaborated with another person in the UK, and we churned out like hundreds of items in 2 years. And that pissed off a lot of artists because they say we're sacrificing quality for mass
quantity,
production, for quantity. But you know what? I mean, 40 of our items got accepted in the game.
Wow.
So actually 100 in total, including my other collaborations.
Wow.
And that's been generating royalties for me like years later. Wow. But beside the point, that was me taking advantage, or me and my partner taking advantage of the opportunity to do more, because like the more you do, the more chances that you're able to create, get Valve to look at your stuff, And that also created the connections with these other artists. So we thought, like, okay, you know what? We want to do something like that's different.
Yeah.
Where I told my friends, okay, I'm going to do this, make this thing, make a contest to make a map for the people to play in, and we're going to give them prizes. It's a real contest. I'm going to like fork out like $5,000 of my own money to get the ball rolling. So people would like go in there in the contest and participate in the best three. They win the prize, But then behind the scenes, I told the contestants that won, hey guys, I'm going to show these to Valve. If they like it, then you have another opportunity to generate more money, because if once it goes in the game, then you get paid like a certain percentage, Okay, so they agreed to that. And we did the same for the items. So what you see there is like the hard work of many different artists. Actually, you could see in one of the credits there, if you explore the web page, there's like a credits. I think that if you click that created, that wrench, the one on top,
the wrench up. There you go. Check that
and,
out.
and you could see everyone who participated in
wow.
in this project. You see the maps creators, you see the item creators. You see my team. That's my team. And the thing is, like,
Blue Book team is your team?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And those comprise of people who are like technical geniuses that far better than me, far better creatives than me. They know how to make the maps. They market this thing. And these are all of the hardworking people that were involved in this project.
Wow.
And they all like put a lot of effort and basically on just a promise that I said, look, I'm going to approach Valve this thing to Valve, and let's see if they like it. If they like it, then you share with the profits and all that, And and then when we made the movie is like pretty good. It's like a pure animation and all that. It's also storyboarded by me, and I had some assets there also that I 3D model. Wow. And when Valve saw that, they were like hooked. Okay, let's do this. And once that started to roll, that actually like created problems with us because none of these people I'd seen face to face.
Yeah.
Because
this
is just like us communicating through Steam chat and all that.
Amazing.
But that also created problems because initially I told them, okay, guys, you get this kind of percentage, right? If we get accepted, then you get this percentage here and there. Some people contend that because but we didn't sign anything and whatnot. But you know what? Valve stepped forward and said, okay, here's the percentage, take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. If you want, you sign up. If you don't want, then we remove your item from the game.
And then that's it.
And then you're not part of it.
Yeah.
And that just was a sigh of relief for me, but that gave me the experience that, hey, man, guys, this is like crazy. To lead this project is a nightmare. And we're dealing with people, and we're dealing with people's livelihood. We're dealing with people's royalties here. So we have to be really, really accurate and really safe and secure, especially when there's no contracts like being handed out. That's how Valve works, and that's a learning lesson for me. So in time, I became more careful with my work, and there's always like a laundry list now of things that I look for when I'm collaborating with people. It's not easy, definitely, but all of that work pays off once the collaboration is done. And this is like the biggest online community update that Team Fortress has ever had. And after that, because of the drama, Valve refused to make community updates anymore.
Wow.
But I'm happy that we're able to produce that because like it's still running to this day, which is like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I think.
And just to think like how far, the concept and the game from 5 years ago to where it is now, and your implementation of what you did to kind of help this grow it's really cool stuff. Just another piece of talent in your book.
Well, it's not me. I just really like the talent is like from these artists are way more talented than me. It's just a matter of like getting all of them, getting all of them together and pitching it to a big company. And we're able to like pitch it. And this is not the only pitch that we've done. I think we've done 5 pitches, and this is the only one that got accepted. And you can imagine all of the disappointments of all of those people who poured their hard-earned their effort in those, and then not to be accepted. But that's what also I learned throughout the years, that sometimes you can make as much effort as you can, but it's not going to happen. You just have to accept that.
Really, really, really cool stuff. Very, very cool. we're probably going to get close to wrapping this one up, but I really want to thank you for coming over and giving this interview and just giving us some of your time this evening to just let us know and, you know, who you are and who the kind of the man behind the camera is, and to kind of take us through your history of, you know, what got started in being creative. And now you've gone into this new venture of watch heads, and I wish you so much the best of luck in it. You have amazing talent. And, you know,
actually, that watch heads, we have a lot in store. You can expect merchandise. One thing that we could I talked to my my investor about it, and he said yes, you can mention it.
Cool.
That we're going to make something like a Funko Pop.
That's great.
Out of the watch
Nice.
heads.
That's really
and
great.
That's something that you can look forward to. We're in the design phase. I already submitted the design, so let's see how. Because my investor, my partner, he has like all of these connections in the East, so he actually has created like so many designs himself. So we can expect that hopefully by next year. But the NFT stuff will probably be ready by this holiday season.
Cool.
So, I've got like a lot of work to do still. I still have like a lot more design. There's like a list there that I still need to knock down. But the YouTube channel is still going to be there. So for the viewers, they're still going to get the content. I'm still have the watch reviews going on. We still have those scheduled. So I'm trying to do all of that, and hopefully a vacation. Vacation soon.
Yeah.
To
Probably pretty important at some point.
Yeah. But I'm
So-
just happy. I'm happy like you guys are like spend time with me for me to ramble here for an hour and a half.
We enjoy it. We enjoy it. I've enjoyed this interview. It's been a great interview. And if you guys don't know, this is Jayson De Castro. Please go over and subscribe to his YouTube channel, Design Atelier. That's an amazing channel over there. And look out for Watch Heads, his conceptual designs of NFTs and artwork. If you haven't seen the designs, you can go back earlier in this stream and check out his stuff. And I'm sure that will all get connected through his YouTube page. And we're really excited about that. Primo, any last words or?
No, that's it. Just great work. Thank you for coming on. And anytime you want to come over and share some new artwork with us or some new design ideas, make sure you give us a shout. And we'd love to be the first guys to, debut anything you want. So
yeah, sure. No problem.
So Shot in the Dark says, Shot in the Dark says, great show. We appreciate that as well. Jay, any parting words? Anything else you want to promote? Please go ahead.
You got to like promote Let's Talk Live. This is like one of the good genuine shows out there. No drama. They only talk about like stuff that really matters or like okay, that's relevant. They may talk about some drama here and there, but not from them, you know. So keep talking about keep supporting Brian here. He's one of like the really genuine YouTubers out there that's really grinding and giving you all of these content. And this is not easy to make. I've been there. I'm still doing it. And Brian's also in the trenches with us, you know. And all of that effort, just look at this stream. How professional it is compared to other streams, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Let's Talk Live.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Basil Bezels, before we head out, gave me a super sticker of 99 cents. Give him a bell on that one. Bazils, thank you so much. We appreciate everybody.
You know that last thing he said, that would make a great short, just saying.
Maybe I'll take that into a store too.
Right.
I want to
And
thank
Primo
everybody.
too, of course. Yeah, Primo.
I want to thank everybody again this evening for hanging out with us. We're going to head out. It's getting late. I'm sure we all have things to do here in the morning. I'm going to hit the outro, and we'll see you guys on the next show. Guys, I will be live on Tuesday again. We'll do our Timepiece Gentleman Tuesday where we break down the new latest episode. You guys can come over and hang out with us. And we'll have
The torture will begin.
The torture will begin. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.